So should I introduce everybody, or would that feel a bit too...
You should do however you would do a normal podcast.
Well then...
How'd you do it with Giphy?
Well, allow me to welcome you all to this edition of the Halcyon Show. My name's Lauren Risley. I'm going to be your co-host for this episode. On this edition, I'm very proud.
This is going to be a train wreck.
Enamored, honoured, bemused, besmirched even, to have a good buddy of mine. And it's the first time him being on the channel. He's been referenced a million times. I've desecrated his channel for some time, so I felt it was only right that we return the favour. Let the people know who you are.
Yes. Oh, no. You need to tell everybody else who I am.
Okay, well...
I'm not going to introduce myself. That's not how this works.
Stepping into the ring.
Say my name!
Stepping into the ring, weighing in at a full body 297 pounds of raw American muscle. This, my friends, is the creator almighty, the man whom I model almost all of my images, apart from my woeful lack of success. No. Cyril, Defunct Games. For the longest time, Defunct Gaming, until he reminded me that's not what his channel's called. Several times, in fact, to the point where I had to go back over one of my videos reviewing the channel, having to dub in the goddamn title. So that shows you what a good reviewer I am.
It's like a spaghetti western.
100%. Just going back in time and changing it just for the hell of it. So what's the point of this? You might be listening to this as a listener of mine and going, hang on a second, that's not just Lauren, there's someone in there. Right. We're just having a conversation. Cyril has very kindly agreed to come and do my podcast with me. We're going
to have a 7-hour conversation about the UFC.
It's going to be a ridiculously, preposterously convoluted chain of events, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Cyril, how are you feeling on being on the wild side, so to speak? We're going here. We have no plan. We don't know where it's going to go.
Well,
could go anywhere.
A little disappointed.
You can feel the anticipation in this man's voice, ladies and gentlemen. You can feel it seeping from every pore.
I thought the room might be bigger and there might be better catering. I don't know.
That wasn't what you were complaining about before the show.
Well, before the show started, we all learned that Lauren has a secret channel.
Oh, we're doing this, are we? We're really doing this. Wow. We're starting hot, okay? We're starting hot, okay? No, do you know what?
That's right.
Fine. You go about your
Lauren,
business.
all of your fans will spend the next week trying to find that secret channel, just like me.
Don't listen to him. See, he's not been here for 5 minutes. He's spreading misinformation. He's springing... Listen,
Fake
listen,
news.
My flock. Listen, my children. Heed not the words of this man, this interloper who cometh among us. Listen, he is actually, no, he talks a lot of sense. And just full disclosure, this is right. I'm not speaking as if again, I'm going to put this on record because I don't think I've ever said this on record on any of your shows. I've just said it to you personally, but let's just put it out there. An immense influence on me, an immense inspiration to make me want to improve my content. And I couldn't be more thankful to have you to bounce ideas off of and annoy. So it's nice just having the opportunity to kind of nick some of your success. I'm really grateful.
Well, I appreciate that. I am happy that you come on and do my stupid quizzes that we post every Friday at defunctgames.com. You should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out the website. And now that I've said that, I think we can just end this podcast.
Well, I struggled with this one. And again, this is full disclosure for you because we talked about this a little bit before. I didn't want to have a plan for this show. I wanted to just kind of sit down, a record, and just go back and forth. But I realized that...
Well, it's because all your plans were bad. Let's just
You know
admit
what?
it. I heard
Fine.
the next like 3 months of his schedule, and it's terrible.
So, just full disclosure then, people. Here were some of my ideas for shows. 5 ways we can cure world hunger. The 3 cures for cancer. And of course, here are my bank details. Help yourselves. But he wasn't interested in any 3 of those ideas. He said they were all terrible. So you don't get any of those. Sorry to say. All those people who might have been interested in those ones, tough. You ain't getting them. So what we're going to talk about instead, well, I gave him some ideas. He is right.
Yeah.
They were all videos that I'll do, which, considering his overwhelmingly positive response, I'm sure you're all going to love. But instead, because you're my guest, and like any good guest coming into the home of another, I expect you to bring something to satiate, to earn
I'm
your
ready.
keep.
I'm all set.
What would you like to talk about? I'm throwing the floor to you and just saying, look, dude, what are we talking about now? What are we going to chit chat about?
Oh.
I'm going to have a sip of my tea.
Wait,
What are
so
we gonna talk about?
your plan was to bring me on for me
And
to
let
come up with the
you
topic?
do
All
the
right,
work
I see
and
how
let
this is.
You take all the flack when
All right.
Inevitably people still go, yeah, but Lorne talks about nothing. We want to hear about nothing. That's what we want to talk about. Don't come to us with your interesting, deep conversations, the riveting stuff. We don't want to hear any of that.
None of it. Well, I don't know. What are you excited about, Lauren? Is there anything coming up that you're excited
Well,
about?
this could open the door to another conversation because we obviously referenced it.
Sure.
Last time. But actually, a question I'd like to ask you as a result, because I thought it'd be interesting to ask. Didn't get a chance to ask it before we sat down. Excited? Avengers, dude. Avengers in 5 weeks. Can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing, awesome, epic, spectacular.
I hope so.
Yeah, not really. There's no. I mean, just to bring it back, you're obviously different games. Big games. I don't really think there's anything on the horizon that's really.
No. Let's stick with
Okay, Avengers Endgame.
I think that's what everyone's here
April
for.
26th. As far as I'm aware.
That's right. That's my birthday.
Happy birthday in advance.
Yeah. So.
What am I going to get you?
Yeah, I think.
What do you want?
I don't know.
What do you want for your birthday?
They'll link to that other channel.
You don't get anything but that. You can have anything else in the world. Just don't say ginger nut biscuits, because that's what I got as an answer this week, and it was the most underwhelming thing anyone ever said to me.
Well, I don't know when you're going to post this, but over the last couple of weeks, or maybe just a couple of days ago, the Russo brothers mentioned that they have manipulated some of the footage in the trailers that we're seeing. That they've specifically added and subtracted things to make things seem different than they actually are, in an effort sort of as a misdirection sort of thing. I know that the thing they kept going back to is that when they were kids and they went to Empire Strikes Back, they didn't have any idea what was going to be in it. It wasn't until, they saw it, and then, the big spoilers at the end, all of that blew their mind. And they wanted to sort of recreate the same sort of feeling for this generation. And so what are your thoughts about being manipulated, like having the trailers manipulate you? And I mean, I suppose trailers always manipulate you, but specifically, having CGI character, maybe added or subtracted, or things to look, or maybe even shots that aren't in it at all. I mean, they did that with the first with the Infinity War. So how do you feel about that?
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because coming soon, I plan to have a 2-part video that goes into all the depths and all the ins and outs of the Avengers. Like I said, I couldn't carry the accent. Couldn't carry it. Forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
What accent were you doing?
I was trying to do a somewhat American accent. Somewhat. Not completely 100%. Just trying to carry it with a smooth, silky tone that soothes and is silky.
Sort of like an NPR broadcaster.
Kind of, yeah. Just that kind of person that thinks it just makes everything seem less threatening. Like a tiger could be attacking the side of a bus, but the driver's on the intercom going, "It's all right. He's just a cuddly little friend looking for a morsel of food." Like, okay, I'm not so scared anymore. He's just a cuddly little tiger. I'm not going out there, but he seems reasonably friendly now. Okay. I forgot the question.
Welcome back to I'll Be Back, the show where we only talk about Broadway musicals and going to the bathroom.
I'd listen to that show. If he said everything that seriously, that'd be hilarious. Lied to, manipulated.
Okay, no.
Well,
yeah, do you feel manipulated?
Well, number one, I didn't realise that that's what they were doing in the first one. So if I don't know I'm being manipulated, I can't feel one way or the other about it.
Well, after the fact, when you went back and watched the Infinity War trailer, did you notice the things that they changed? Like, there's a big shot of Hulk and the rest of them, like racing towards the camera, like this is going to be like they're all coming together to fight. And of course, that wasn't what happened in the movie specifically.
Yes. Correct.
Hulk didn't even show up.
He sat that one out, and it's reasonable to say he's going to make up for it in the next one, which is nice.
Sure.
But
he'll be back in a big way, I have to assume.
I'll put it in as simple terms as I can, because it's not that complicated. If in the pursuit of trying to tell the best story you can when it matters, which is when you're sitting in the cinema, that's what they have to do to preserve that sense of not knowing, so that you don't go in with a certain expectation and come out with something else. I love it. It's great. It's fantastic. If you're trying to get people in the cinema to begin with, though, I understand why people do it. I just don't agree with the practice. And I imagine a lot of people will appreciate that same sentiment, having seen these trailers and done what everyone I've seen has done, which is desperately try to piece together how they're going to do something that, as opposed to the first part, everybody reasonably had an idea of how the film was going to end in one sense or another. This one, no one knows. It's all up in the air. Because some people could die, some people could not, some people could come back, some people could not.
They could introduce new characters
in fact, my big prediction, and in fact I'm going to ask you for yours in a second, my big prediction is the last scene of this film, it might even be in the end credit sequence, is the next big bad. They'll be introduced in this when the majority of the eyes are on the product. It will be, and here's the next big thing, and it's going to make geeks like me
that's actually a good
jump
question.
out of it. So what's your big prediction for Endgame?
That's actually something I was curious if you even thought there was going to be an end credit stinger, like a post credit scene like there have been in most of the others. I think there might not be.
Okay.
I think that because this is kind of like this is the period at the end of these first three phases. I think that they could treat it like that, like it's just done. And so, the next, whatever the next film is after that, well, maybe the one after Spider-Man, would probably bring, I don't know, that could introduce the... I mean, they technically, I think, already introduced the next big bad stuff, because I think the next stuff they're going to go into is probably going to be the Secret War. And they laid a lot of the groundwork for that in Captain Marvel.
Correct, yeah.
So, now, when it comes to predictions, it makes me wonder if they'll try to introduce the Immortals or some of the other things in some of the ideas for that in this game or in this movie. I think when it comes to predictions, though, it really comes down to who's going to live or die.
Yes, yeah.
And maybe we can kind of go through that a little bit. And of the people that are not currently dead, of the core people, most of the OG Avengers, who, as we all know, probably don't have their they're either out of the contract or they're just going to move on. How many of those people are going to come back, or how many will die? Who's living and who's dying?
Okay.
We got 5 weeks, before this thing comes out, so we might as well put our put our predictions in.
If as far as that's concerned, there's I'll give you one. The rest I'm going to leave just because I put a lot of effort into a video I'm going to be releasing at some point, and I talk about that quite a bit because a lot of where the series goes forward is, as you've alluded to, who lives and who dies, because who's going to cameo, who's going to be the convenient plot thread in the next sequence of films when we need someone to come out of the woodwork to save everybody or to offer a solution to a problem or complicate the situation. Who's going to be the best for that purpose? Who can't we kill off to ruin the prospect of doing that, even if they can bring whoever they want back if they absolutely have to? In terms of a bold prediction, tricky. Fuck it. Do you know what? Fuck it. I'll give the one that I
fuck it.
Whatever. If people watch, people watch. My big prediction is that Tony Stark in this timeline doesn't make it back. I believe he dies on the ship. I believe the one in the trailer and the one that will
in space.
I reckon it'll be a past version of him that they save to bring forward to the fold. I probably don't have enough time to expound on why I think that is, but the reason why I think that they will do that is because Captain America will live, but he'll be written out a bit. He'll be the one that they can call back on if they need to. I think Tony Stark would be the opposite. Because I think I think that both of their mantles are easy to pass on. You can pass Captain America on to Bucky, and he can carry on without anyone really knowing the difference. I mean, in terms of like the in-story populace, they would kind of like, oh, that's Captain America. Whereas Iron Man is trickier to keep going, because if Iron Man's not going to be Iron Man anymore, the technology's cool, but Tony Stark is the draw. Tony Stark is the main attraction there, not the gimmick, so to speak. So if you don't have the guy playing Tony Stark, it's kind of hard. And if you can't even convince him to sign on for multiple films and remortgage a few more of his houses, you're not going to convince him to cameo. So
I think that Tony Stark dies. But I also think that Captain America dies.
You think they both die? Interesting. Okay.
I think they both die. I think that Tony Stark could live on through AI or something like that. So maybe they get around that. But I think of any of them, the person that's going to live is going to be Thor.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because I think he's the only one that has like a real viable like film career, or like his standalone films. Like they could do another Thor film in the style of Ragnarok, and people would go to it. Like the Captain America films, like the last one was barely a Captain America film. It was basically just an Avengers film. So I think they felt like they've kind of told all of the Captain America stories they're going to. And it's been a long time since we've had a standalone Iron Man film, and that one was not well received, even though I liked it more than Iron Man 2. Though I know a lot of people hate that Mandarin fake out. Spoiler alert. But so I think Thor, they can get away with him, you know, not dying, but also not being in the other ones, because like he's gonna go back and rebuild Asgard, and you know he's got cosmic things to do. And if they're going to, you know, go into space and do more cosmic stuff, I can see him being one of those people that makes a cameo, you know, 5 movies from now or something like that. And everyone's really excited that, oh my god, it's one of the OG Avengers is back. And I think he's kind of the only one they could do that with, besides maybe Black Widow, though. I mean, I'm not sure if her movie is going to be if it's going to be a prequel or if it's going to be after or what it's going to be, or maybe it'll be both. So I'm curious to see what happens with all that, but I think most of the OG ones are going to die. And I could see Tony dying in the way that you say, where he's lost in space. Though, was it Nebula is with him?
Yes, yeah.
So, and we know she gets back to Earth, I think, because I think that's in the trailer, but that could be something that's manipulated. So I don't know.
So, yeah, well, I mean, again, without going into too much detail, because, again, I don't want to render my video completely pointless, my big theory is that the reason why I think that is because there's going to be 2 attempts. It's not going to be one shot to save the world. It's going to be the first act of the film is them attempting and failing. The second attempt is what they build towards. Because here's your problem. Mm-hmm. Thanos is in the next film. They've made a big deal about the fact that he's coming back. But what do you have him do? He can't just go on another rampage, because number one, the gauntlet's a bit not the greatest it's ever looked. And secondly, I don't know if it would serve the characters, because they've already had a whole film of having their asses kicked. So having him come back doesn't really make any sense to me.
Yeah, I can appreciate.
Sorry,
that, yeah.
As because his character now is people really love Thanos, even though he's the bad guy in the film and he does something terrible at the end. I don't know if people would object to seeing him return in later installments in the next phase, albeit in a different capacity. Sure. So I think he's too good to kill off, but you can't have him doing nothing the whole film. So, and I've seen people say that Captain Marvel is now on the same power level as him, so she could go toe-to-toe with him if absolutely necessary.
Without giving spoilers away for the movie, for Captain Marvel, there's something in that suggests that she could go toe-to-toe with him. However, I also think that it's going to be one of those situations where we all think, oh my god, she's going to come in and save... and save the day, but I think she's going to be gimped a little bit. That's not an offensive term?
No, not at all. No, I do, but I know what you're saying.
But she's going to be handicapped a bit because of not to make it more of a fair fight necessarily, but because I can see, it seems like what they're going to do is she's going to come in and think that she's going to be able to I'm just going to be able to do this, and then we're going to find out, no, she can't. And it's going to take a lot more than just her, and it's going to take, specifically teamwork, and probably some time travel.
Well, look, this is the thing, because I agree with you on that, which is, you've already seen it exhibited in the first act of the first film, which is that Hulk comes in and gets owned. Now, it's not necessarily because Thanos is stronger than the Hulk. It's just that he's got attributes that supersede the Hulk's attributes in its entirety. And with the Infinity Gauntlet, as much as Captain Marvel might be... Because the thing is, I have no context on Captain Marvel. None whatsoever. Right. So I don't know
I'm dancing around specifically the reason why she would be able to go toe-to-toe, because that is a spoiler.
I think I heard something which explains it. So, do you know what?
Yeah.
You won't spoil it. I'll have an attempt at spoiling it. I heard somewhere that she absorbs the power of the Tesseract, or something to that effect.
It's not... You're not quite there, so
why don't you...
we don't have to put up a spoiler alert yet.
In the general direction of the spoiler by saying, hey...
You want me to push you towards the gems?
Anyone listening to this, I sure hope you've watched Captain Marvel by this point, because Cyril is about to spoil the show for you.
I'm not... No, I'm not going to spoil it.
Oh, you have to! I don't know what happens.
Because they don't need to, because it's going to make it... It's almost at $1 billion. It'll be pretty close to $1 billion by the end of this weekend, so I think most people have already seen it. Or will...
Then you've got nothing to lose by
it does not matter for for this conversation. Is there going to be a big time jump?
Yes, I think that's inevitable.
Yeah.
I think considering the thing that no one touched on is in the trailer. I know that they add things in they shouldn't do. The one,
I know it's hard.
It's
because
hard.
Of that, yeah.
But Black Widow's hair in the first trailer is short and white. In the second trailer, it's long and red again.
Right.
So whether or not that might be a past version
within
of her,
even
so who knows?
Sure. With even within the same trailer, Hawkeye's hair is a couple of different ways.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So, like, clearly months to maybe a year or more has passed. And he got some bad advice when it came to his hair in that time.
Listen, I liked his hair in the first trailer. I'm not going to hate on his hair in the second. It's fine. But there's a nice...
Does he die?
I don't know. All I was going to say, by the way, is it's a nice mirror if that's the case, though, by the way. The first film takes place over a day, I think. Just a single day, even though a lot happens. If the following one takes place over the course of...
I guess you're right. It is a very...
Well, it's nice that they've kind of gone in a different direction in terms of, well, the story felt like it was crammed together in the first film. It was like, we can't possibly fit any more character development and action, story progression, and all these moments that are supposed to mean something to go to the next film where we've got a bit of space to breathe. And we can go, right, let's feel some of these plot threads out a little bit.
I really like when stories take place in, like, only on one night or something like that. Like, there are a lot of movies that do that where, like After Hours or something like that, where somebody will get into a, like, lengthy adventure where they're lost someplace and it happens only, over the course of, like, 4 or 5 hours. Or did you play Arkham Asylum, the Batman game?
Yes, correct. Yeah, I played that back in the day.
That all takes place over, one hellish night. I think that would be something I'd like to see them... not necessarily that I want them to do Arkham Asylum, the movie, though that would not be a terrible idea. I mean, that's better than some of the ideas I've heard. But I like the idea of having, like, a superhero that... I guess Dredd did that, where it's all happening in a very small amount of time as opposed to, days or weeks or something like that.
Which is
I guess Dredd did that.
Well, it's a difficult balance to strike because if that in that situation, because superhero films like to do the whole, we start with nothing, then we get this amazing moment where the person ascends, and then they've got to play with their powers a little bit, and then we've got to have the personal relationships and how that balances out. Then we've got to have the villain come in, become powerful, have the confrontation, have everything wrap up, have a happily ever after, and then maybe tease another one. That doesn't take place over a day, so it's tricky to do that kind of thing. But I agree with you because there's a sense of not realism, but there's a good pace that comes from we're going to start here, we're going to finish a day later. What would realistically happen in this person's life over the course of a day? And the only thing I would think with Infinity War that alters that pace a little bit is the bit where he's on his ship with Gamora. I know he's got the Space Stone, so he can move wherever he wants, whenever he wants.
Right.
But those jumps... But then again, that's because of how far he travels. It's the dissociative thing of me thinking, well, it would take ages for him to get there. Dude, he has the Space Stone. He can go anywhere he wants, whenever he wants. Yeah, but that makes it seem longer. But sorry, you asked a question. I can't remember what it was. What was the question?
Oh, well, shoot, now I don't know. No,
I had a question for you, by the way. Got nothing to do with Endgame in of itself.
Okay.
It's why I was going to say your question first, because it probably has more to do with the topic we were talking about.
Probably did.
What was it? Hawkeye.
Well, what's your question?
You were going to ask if Hawkeye dies.
Oh, yeah, Hawkeye. Do you think Hawkeye dies?
I don't think so. Unless it's him that sacrifices his life to bring his family back at the end, saving everybody. But I don't... That moment, I think, is reserved for Tony Stark.
Okay. Do you think Hawkeye shows up in that Black Widow movie?
Is it a prequel or a sequel?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm highlighting you saying, well, what are you... Are we talking prequel? Because then, hell yeah. Of course. Sequel?
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if he makes it through this film. I don't know.
Right. Well, we don't know if either of them do.
I would put money on that he is. His role in the films, to a certain degree, has been the sort of the unofficial voice of reason. He pops up and he gives just very raw, very real advice to people to say, look,
Sure.
this is what it is. We just got to do it, and we just crack on, and that's that. And he's a bit of comic relief, but he's serious as well. So you can kind of bend him to fit certain scenarios, whereas other characters are kind of, I don't think they're as malleable, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I think he's got a credibility other characters don't have, so that he can be the. Put it this way: in Avengers: Age of Ultron, he can sit there and joke about the hammer and make voices and all the rest of it. But in the first film, he shoots people in the chest with his arrows.
Right.
He murders about 20 people in the film, and we don't really ever talk like, yeah, Hawkeye's rubbish. Dude, he took down the Avengers on his own. Like, he's not a bad. He's a good guy to have on your team. But in terms of him dying, I'll put it to you though, because I think I've answered, which is, I don't think so, because I think the only way he dies is if he sacrifices to bring his family back. That's what's driven him down the path. I don't think he'll be the one to make the sacrifice, because I think that's all going to come down to what they do with Thanos and how they get the glove and the Infinity Stones back. And that's a moment reserved for Tony Stark, because they seem to have been building the fact that Thanos is vaguely or directly aware of who Tony Stark is. And Tony Stark has been unaware that it's Thanos he's feared for years. It's the stuff that Thanos did, but he didn't know it was Thanos, but that's been at the back of his mind since the events of the first film.
For sure.
But what do you think? What do you think about Hawkeye?
I think he gets a happy ending.
Okay.
I think that whatever happens brings his family back, and he's able to get a better haircut. And no, I think that because he's been shit on so much. Like he's the one that never got a solo career or a solo movie, and he, like,
oh my god,
and his family, it seems like they die, and then he has to learn how to use a sword. Like,
you see you reviewing the film and kind of getting to the point at the end. It's like, so what did you think of the film? It was okay. I was just really disappointed though. Why? Oh, he didn't get a better haircut at the end. He kept that stupid fucking mohawk. He kept it, man. He got his family back and everything. He had no reason to have it anymore, and he kept it anyway, the freak. Well, but how was the rest of the film? I don't know. I spent most of it comparing his hairstyles. I'm going to have to go watch it again to see what happened in the film. I can just tell you, it gets worse over time. He lets it grow out.
He's, Plus, Jeremy Renner, Hollywood has tried to make him a big hit, a big star, but audiences have pushed back. And he's not commanding the salary that the rest of the Avengers